Okay. Hey everybody, Grandmaster Ben Feingold here with round 7, the last round of the first half of the tournament. The players play the only player they haven't played yet. Jan Nepomniachtchi, black against Richárd Rapport. They played a Petrov, which we sort of expected because that's what Jan is doing this tournament. And they played a main line. And earlier in the tournament, against Nakamura, Jan played bishop e7, knight c6, Papa John's. He had a bad position, was lucky to draw. This game he played bishop d6. Now 30 years ago and 35 years ago, the Petrov was my main opening with black against e4. And I've had this position before. This is how I played. Castles, castles, c4, c6. And here I mainly faced knight c3 when I was playing in 1990. Queen c2 is a move. Rook e1 is a move. I faced all of those. He played queen b3, which is like the 6th or 7th most common move. But that didn't stop Jan from knowing theory until the game ended. So I guess Jan has good preparation because he's playing a world championship match last year. So his prep is pretty good. So he played bishop g4, recommended by the engine. And obviously this was prep because he was playing quickly, and you wouldn't allow queen takes b7 unless you thought a long time if it wasn't prep. But okay. Okay, and this was all the engine line. The engine's like, good, good. Pawn sacrifice. Then when he takes it, he takes this. And now, if the knight moves away or gets defended, black is fine. So white plays for the advantage. Queen takes b7. Black sacrifices the exchange. And now plays the brilliant bishop h3. I say it's brilliant in quotes because it's prep. And he played instantly. And this is the best move. Okay, now we're threatening mate with advantage. And if you play f3, you should never do that. Never play f3. Then queen e2 and or bishop c5 check leads to checkmate. And you can see the two bishops what else? And white's getting checkmated here. In 2 moves, actually. So he played g takes h. Now the game could end in a draw quickly. King h1, check. King here, check. And the game could have ended in a draw now. But Rapport played f3, which never play f3. I wonder what the result of the game was. And this is also can be a draw because after queen d3, the best move is king g2, which he played. Queen g6, king f2 gets checkmated. The engine announces mate in 8. The queen, rook, and bishop start attacking the king. Not good defense for white here. So you have to play king h1, which he did. Queen d3, and now the game can end in a draw with king g2. There's 2 repetitions. What else? Instead, Rapport made the mistake knight d2. Very unusual preparation, preparing a line that's a forced draw, and then playing a bad move and getting a much worse position. Now black doesn't have a winning attack anymore, but he can win the white queen, and he played queen d7 almost immediately. This is still his prep. Good prep by Jan. Knight e4, knight a6, the queen's trapped. And here, even though it's 2 rooks for a queen, because the white king is so bad, and white's pawn structure is so bad, and white's rooks can't get active, the engine really likes black here. Now, obviously, Rapport didn't agree with that, or he would have repeated. He thought, I got 2 rooks, my knight on e4 is pretty good, black has 2 isolated pawns on the queen's side, my king will be safe eventually. Okay, it was safe eventually. I gave up. Okay, so bishop f4, the engine hates that move. It wants to play bishop e3, putting pressure on a7 and stopping black from using the c5 square. The engine wants to go back to e3 now. Played rook d1, seems like a likely move. Put it in h. This is the only move in the game Jan played that wasn't number 1 engine move. The engine wants to play h5. If you're like, why does he want to play h5? Well, when you see the rest of the game, you'll know why. I thought h6 made more sense. It gets lift and it stops white from using the g5 square. Knight c5, knight e6. And white tried to play b4 and c5 and shut this bishop out, but he couldn't do it. He couldn't shut the bishop out. The bishop had other avenues to attack. Now h5, put it in h. Wants to play h4. The bishop is pinned to the f-pawn. So he defended his f-pawn. Queen f5, b4, here comes c5. h4. Now, if you take the h-pawn, you run into knight f4, attacking the rook. Now queen h3, next move, assuming he saves his rook, is going to threaten queen takes bishop, queen g2 mate, and or queen takes f3, depending on where this rook goes. The engine line, if you're an engine, is rook d4, queen goes to h3, knight f6 check. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not queen h3, I apologize. Knight g6, if queen h3, knight f6 check, and rook takes knight, saves white. So we play knight g6, threatening the bishop and the pawn. Knight d2, saving them both. Saving the pawn, saving the bishop. Takes, queen d3, threatening everything, even the stuff it doesn't threaten. Knight f1 is the best move according to the engine. Queen takes a3, and white is just lost. White is too passive, no coordination. The b4 pawn is hanging, and white's king is a sitting duck. So instead of bishop takes h4 losing, he played bishop b8. That's the longest move on the board instead of the shortest move. Knight g5. The engine didn't like knight g5. It still said that black was winning. It wants to play rook d to e3, still winning for black. Wants to play rook 1 to e3. I apologize. Still winning for black. He played this move. You can't take with the rook because queen takes f3 check. Queen f2. Now the problem with bishop takes a7 is now your rook is pinned. So if I play h3, you can't take my pawn because I take your bishop. However, queen g2 mate is annoying. So you have to play rook g1, then bishop to d6, threatening mate, and the truth hurts. Hurts a lot. And now the engine just gives his bishop away and says, oh, well, I'm down a bishop. So he didn't take on a7. Instead, he played h3, which is the engine move, stopping black from playing h3. Bishop e7. Remember I said black has different avenues for his bishop? He can't go to d6, c5, or b4, but he can come in this way. Bishop h2, trying to defend. Trying is the first step to failure. Queen d2, queen d3, and everything is loose, and the king is no good. Terrible. Bishop e3, let's trade bishops. Ish don't think so. Bishop. Now 4 pawns are hanging. What else? H-pawn's hanging, and it's not even attacked. That's how bad it is. He takes a pawn, gets a pawn for his troubles. h3, put it in h. Notice Jan played h6, h5, h4, h3, threatening h2. h2 is annoying. Bishop g1, bishop h4, and now we're threatening queen f3 check winning, and there's no defense. If you play rook e3, you hang mate in 1. If you play bishop f2, you hang mate in 1. My favorite variation, you ready? This is my favorite variation. If rook f2, this is my favorite variation.
You said.
h2. God damn. Man, I wish I could play h2.
That is fun.
Now, if bishop h2 mate, and if rook h2, it's worse than mate. Now you got to play down a queen. So after bishop h4, Rapport resigned. Jan won the game. He's in clear first. Obviously, he was in clear first before the round. And here's the shocking part. Are you sitting down? Mm-hmm. There's no increment, and there's no delay. And when the game ended, Jan had more time than he started with. How did that happen? Exactly. No increment, no delay, but he still had more time. Einstein's confused somewhere. That's because they made move 40, so you get an extra hour, and Jan used less than an hour to play all 40 moves. So now he has more than 2 hours, and he started the game with 2 hours.
Oh, I see, yeah.
So he showed Richárd Rapport who was the better player, not Rapport. So Rapport's first loss after 6 draws. Jan has finished the first half with 4 wins and 3 draws. Crazy, 5.5 out of 7. And that's our recap for this game from round 7. Jan Nepomniachtchi winning against Richárd Rapport. You can watch the coverage live on Twitch, twitch.tv/GMBenjaminFeingold. And thanks for watching. Bye, YouTubers.